Hey folks, it's that time of the week again. It's time for TWiP Pro Photo Critique number 35. This is TWiP. We've got a mountain of images to dive through, and they're all fantastic. I'm here with my partner in crime, Mr. Troy Miller, to go through some of the latest crops from TWiP Pro. What do you think, man?
I'm very excited because I picked the theme.
You did.
So
yeah,
I'm super excited to see all these black and whites and creative monochromatic stuff. Oh, I dig it.
Yeah, I figured I was looking at the list and I was like, oh boy, look at this. This is Troy Miller heaven. He's just This is exactly what you love. So perfect. Well, let's do it without further delay. Let's dive right in. I hate when people say adieu because that's French. Right.
And I'm writing down. I'm writing down our next monthly critique.
The next topic.
Yeah, I wrote it down.
All right. Well, how do I get my eyes on it? If you wrote it down, what is it? Let me see. Hold it up. Wait. Let's put the camera on you. I can't see it. I see a ET.
Pets.
Pet. Oh, okay. That's all I saw was ET.
How about pets? What do you think?
Yeah, I like it. What if people don't have pets? What if people hate pets?
Then they can find one.
There are lots of those people in the world that don't like pets. I'm just saying. So it could be teacher's pet. It could be your pet love. It could be your any kind of pet, right? It doesn't have to be an animal.
What? No, anything that you want to call a pet. It could be a cricket or whatever. And
a cricket. And how random. A cricket.
And this just in, hot off the wire, Peter Levshin, one of our TWiP Pro members, has agreed to donate a Delvezi is Hawk book. It's a surfing book. It's about the traditions of Delvezi and some of the stuff of the amazing adventures of a larger than life California surfer, cowboy, biker, hot rodder. This book's a $30 book, and that's what he does. He prints these books. So he is donating that book. Not donating. That is going to be the winner's prize for whoever you and I decide is our favorite image.
I love that. Peter.
Yeah.
Peter rocks. Thank you, sir. That's awesome. We appreciate that. Cool. All right. So we have a prize, and we're so for this, we're going to do that for this, or we're going to do that for a future?
Do it for this one.
For this one. All right.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. We're going to pick a prize. Look at that. This is evolution on the fly by natural selection. Look at that.
Yeah.
And it comes image by unnatural selection, you and I.
This is true. Yeah, stuff just happens like live. I got texts flying in right now like, oh, we'll give you this book. I'm like, sweet.
Hey, spread the love around. Spread the love around, man. Well, cool. Yeah. Well, I want to dive in because we got images to go through. Before we do that, it looks like TWiP Pro is getting kind of popular, right? And we need to make sure that we're managing the time to make sure we give each image its due when we do these critiques. And we only have like roughly an hour, but sometimes less than that, to run through these. So I think what we should do, and you tell me what you think, Troy, I think what we should do is limit each submission to 2. Instead of right now, we don't really have a limit on it. So some people are submitting, 3, 4, etc. images, which takes away from the overall time that we have to devote to the images. So I think we should, what do you think? 2? Is that a good number?
I think let's start with 2. I think that's a good variety for everybody. And if we exceed our time and ability to do 2, then we'll have to limit it to 1. And that would not be a bad thing to have that many people submitting images.
Yep. I agree. But for right now, let's throttle it back to 2. And if you submit more than 2, I think you and I, Troy, people submit more than 2, you and I will just have to pick which 2 we're going to critique when we go through.
Yeah. For the sake of time, depending on how many we have. Yeah,
absolutely.
Of course.
Absolutely. All right, cool, man. Let's dive right in. I'm going to go ahead and share TWiP Pro on the screen here. And there's my reminder post. And the first one up is from Peter Levshin. And Peter says, thank you again for that book, Peter. Man, maybe we should let Peter submit 3 or 4.
He's got 3 in here, so I think he has 4.
Okay, so he says this was shot with a Sony A7R II infrared with a 12mm lens. This is for mono competition, and my friend Craig, as we now have a thing going on. Who can take the strangest crap? I think I should beat him. I am old and on lots of medication. That's Peter right there. All right,
buddy.
Let's pull this up. So this is what age and medication do to your photography right here.
I think this is sweet.
It's crazy. I know.
This is amazing. I didn't want him to leave in the bottom half of the image, though. I didn't want to see the gazebo. I really think that if we were to crop it, that it would just be very, very surreal. And I try so hard to be this creative, and then Peter just goes out and just does it without even trying.
Yeah, he's like, what if I look at this world upside down? Yeah, when I first looked at this, I thought it was two images composited together. I can, when you look at what's going on, you can kind of grok that it's inverted of an invert of a single image. But when you first look at it, it's two images because the top and the bottom are so starkly different. But that said, I agree with you. I would have cropped the gazebo off and just gone with her. And looking at her and what that infrared lens does to the ground around her and her skin tone, that's like Walking Dead action right there, isn't it?
I know. I love it. We'll have to have Peter post some of his orange phase. His infrared orange phase. Yeah, he knows exactly what I'm talking about, Peter. So throw some of that stuff in the sharing channel. That would be really cool.
I love it. Yeah, the show and tell. Yeah.
Yeah, the show and tell. Yeah.
Perfect. Very cool. All right, let's move right along. All right, next image up is from, let's see, it's another Peter. We got a couple in here from Peter. This next one is from Peter's Wells for the MONOCHROME. And looks like he's diving into like portraiture.
Yeah, his model shoot. Yeah, this is some pretty cool stuff. I love how how she's silhouetted. I like her pose. The elbows are bent, and she's got kind of a nice little attitude, sexy attitude, curvy frame. That's always really nice. Mm-hmm. And the background, I like how the window isn't blown out, even though she's blocked up a little bit in the shadows. I think that works really well. Yeah. Great storytelling. I mean, I would do this for a wedding anytime. This is really great. So.
I was expecting you to say something about her right hand being in shadow and want some more detail in there.
No, I'm okay with it because it's more of a shape and a form here where, her arm follows her body, her hips pushed out to the left, and the triangle next to her waist is flattering. So to me, I think it's just more about her face and form than it is specific details within the image.
Yeah, very cool. Yep, I agree. I like the framing. I like the fact that he actually used the natural framing and the light backlighting. And it's got that kind of, I don't know. I don't know what the name of that technique is, but when you're lit, Tim Engel does this a lot. When you light the model from both the left and the right. So
hatchet lighting.
Is that what it's called? Yeah. So
yeah.
Lighting is on the left and the right, and then you have kind of a darker strip down the front. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Made very popular by Joel Grimes.
Oh, yeah. Very cool. I love that technique. It's very cool. You see a lot on like Sports Illustrated covers where there's the big athlete sweaty face that's lit like that.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Let's move right along.
I walk around with light on me like that all the time.
Yeah, I emanate that light. So. I'm illuminated. What can I say?
You're illuminated.
This is the last one from Peter in this set here. Is the Sony A7R II, another infrared 35 millimeter mono for the MONOCHROME. See, that is cool. That looks like fairy tale land image there, doesn't it? I mean, yeah, that's what infrared is. So when I saw this, I was thinking, okay, he tinted it like this, and then I remembered back when I had my Canon 10D converted to infrared, and most of the image coming out of the camera looked sort of reddish like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very red. Yeah.
Did he do this intentionally? Do you know, or was this straight out of camera? And he's like, "Oh, that's kind of cool. I'm gonna go with it."
No, this is not straight out of camera. This has got some post-processing in it because straight out of camera, it's almost a bright magenta. I mean, it's heavy, heavy, heavy magenta. So there's been some manipulation to this. The green and the skin tone are in the shade, and that's probably what was the most magenta. You can see some of the blue, which is the sky in the background. That would just be a different frequency of light that just got converted differently, how he manipulated it. At first, I really struggled with this image because she's almost hidden. But the more that I look at it, the more that I like the abstractness, the weirdness of it. I don't really see this as a portrait. I just sort of see this as an abstract image with a person in it.
Yeah. It's like a background. She almost kind of blends into it. So it's like a Where's Waldo kind of situation.
Yeah, I would love to see it cropped off on the right-hand side, right where that branch starts. So that branch in the top right-hand corner, the thick one, would be the beginning of the corner, and that would sort of be a nice leading line out of the frame.
Oh, okay.
But other than that, it fits Peter's weird-ass stuff.
Yeah, he's doing some weird-ass stuff, but that's the whole point. It's called art.
Yeah.
Come on, Troy. It's called art. It's not weird.
I love it. I love it.
All right, let's move on down the line here. Mike Doran, he says, dueling Acuras during my recent trip to Monterey for the IMSA series. I created this image with a Canon 1DX and a Tamron 150 to 600 millimeter lens. That lens was not cheap.
It was that camera body.
Yeah, right? Look at that. And look at that. This is why that lens is not cheap. Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that. Tack sharp. Tack sharp. You can almost see the lint on that car. That is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, great composition, great, timing and stuff. I love how the cars are stacked, but you can still read the words and everything. I would probably crop up from the bottom a little bit, right to where that asphalt is, and crop out more of the dirt on the very bottom, but not entirely. Only in the lower left corner, get rid of it from there across, because I like the idea. A little bit
of dirt in there just to balance off the beige tones in the top, right?
Yeah, but I like the idea of the road continuing on in the frame without being cut off by the dirt. You know what I mean? I feel like it's going to give me more sense that the cars are moving out of the frame.
Yep.
This is really hard stuff to do. Yeah, this is great. I really, it's cropped nice, it's centered nice, the focus is where it's supposed to be, the edit is nice and tight, good use of depth of field.
Yeah, I'd like to hear Stephen Sharf's comments on this image in TWiP Pro, because he's a motorsports photographer as well, right? So probably more qualified to look at this image and judge it than we are. but from a purely photographic and aesthetic standpoint, it's beautiful. Yeah, and I agree with you. Losing, it's always I notice your sort of MO of losing parts of the image that don't really add to the image, right?
Right.
That dirt in the bottom, you can crop up just a little bit, lose some of those pixels, and the more pixels you lose without sacrificing the overall image composition, the stronger the image is, right? Because the more the eye and brain are drawn towards the central subject versus having to process all the other irrelevant data around the main subject, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That sounds like something I've said before.
You probably have said it before. We are brothers from another mother, so.
I know. I do know that.
I'm just saying.
I totally agree.
All right, go on. Let's move on in here. Here's the next one from James Glennie. All right. James is a new member. And James says, greetings to the TWiP Pro community. I've been listening and watching for a while. Thank you, sir. But finally got off my butt today and joined the community. Yes, tell a friend. Looking forward to participating and getting and giving back, or giving feedback, for sure. That's what we're all about. He says he spends a fair amount of time, leisure time, wandering on forest trails along their many beaches, and he tries to catch up with subjects that he's shooting on those trips. And so on this visit to one of his favorite beaches, instead of getting the same wide-angle sweeping shot that he's got 1,000 times already, he was looking around for little details and textures, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
The world is filled. Turns out the world is filled with details and textures, right?
They are.
It's like I was shooting in a whole new location. Yep, for sure. Shot in his Canon 6D 70-200 f2.8L IS2. Handheld at 190 millimeters, 1/500th of a second, f2.8 ISO 100. All right, let's take a look at this shot. Bringing it up.
Yeah, I really enjoy the juxtaposition of the shape of the rock, completely different than the shadow.
Yeah.
I think that's neat. And then, of course, you have little striations from the sand. And I like the shallow depth of field. A lot of times when I shoot these, I like it to be sharp all the way through because I'm like, ooh, the sand should be sharp. But this actually works really good, even though it's not a lot of depth of field. I mean, it's not a lot of depth to work with, right? But it's still using that depth of field to draw our attention to only one place that's in focus, and that's the top of the rock.
Yep, for sure.
So well used. Yeah, I really like it.
Yeah, this is like a micro landscape, right? It could. I should coin that term, micro landscapes.
Micro landscape. I'm buying that domain right now. Microlandscape.com.
Yeah, I got to get that. Microlandscapes.com. But right, I mean, this looks like when I first looked at it, I thought a couple of things. I thought sort of, an aerial shot of Utah. Like if there are lots of reds in here, this kind of be one of those aerial shots of Utah. And then, strangely enough, because my brain is weird, I looked at this and I thought asteroid falling through the atmosphere, those striations being sort of the wind and the buffeting off of the asteroid. That's what I thought about. Yeah, but I'm weird that way. So,
or it looks like Aries rock.
There you go.
Right. I mean, it's a little bit like Aries rock. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Or it could be a teardrop. It goes on and on and on. Which means, because we're sitting here like nerds trying to interpret what this brings out of us, success to the artist, right? The artist has succeeded in making us spend time on the image and think about it and see things out of it that he probably didn't even intend. So very cool shot. Congratulations and welcome to TWiP Pro.
Yeah, definitely. Welcome.
Yeah, welcome, James. And nice orange beard there. I'm looking at your shot there on the site. All right, moving right along to the next shot here. Where we are. Brian Taylor, 4 days ago. All right, pulling this guy up. He said this is a photo he captured at sunrise in Door City, Wisconsin. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, I like it. You know what? And a black and white sunset is awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Because it shows off those roots and everything. Yeah, I really like this. I mean, even in the thumbnail on the feed, I was like, "Ooh, that one's going to be one of my favorites."
Mm-hmm. You're not going to say it needs a person in there?
No, not this one.
Like Craig Colvin or Kyle Nishioka or somebody like that would say, "Yeah, it needs a person on one of those rocks or leaning against a tree."
You can always put a person in anything. Yeah. It's just it'll be fine.
My only I know.
Yeah, people are easy.
Yeah.
My only suggestion is maybe cropping off the left side a little bit, and it looks like the sky was processed a little bit heavy, so it looks like there's some haloing going on around the bush in the top left corner.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then just try this when you go edit this, Brian, is to try to bring up the highlight end of the spectrum in the roots and stuff. It'll add a lot more depth to that. It won't not messing with the clouds or anything, but if you're in Lightroom, just create a brush and push the highlights and the whites higher and brush it in that foreground, and all of those little highlight areas will really pop out and add a lot of dimension.
Yeah.
But I love the shot.
One of the things I found interesting about this shot is, normally you see a shot like this and the water around or in front of the sun as it's setting, it's sort of shimmering and light like that. Look at this shot. Notice the little area around the sun is darker. It's slightly darker, like in the water. The water around it's sort of extending down below the sun and to the left and right of the sun is just a little bit darker, which is strange. Like, I don't know if that was intentional. Like, what was happening there? Because normally that would be lit up. Because it's the sun, right? So that area would be shimmering or something. But in this shot, it's darker. So,
right. I wonder, Brian, did you burn that down or something? Do these multiple maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Did you stack it?
Is it stacked? Yeah. And you tried to blend it and you didn't think we'd see that? Or what?
We're nitpickers, man. That's our job.
This is a nitpicking show. Welcome. All right, cool. Good shot.
That would look good big, though, wouldn't it? I mean, that's an image you need to have big.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a big one. Yeah, because these images of high frequency and also the very simple ones, like the where's that shot? The shot. So many shots in here. Okay, by James Glennie, the shot with the rock on the beach. That would look good, giant on a wall as well. Especially, I find like those macro shots tend to look really cool large, right? Because it's something different. You would never see a pebble or something that your brain knows is tiny blown up wall sized in ultra high resolution. It's just something magic about that. All right, from Craig Stamfley, Fountain for the monotone critique. All right, that's pretty good.
I love Craig. I really enjoy your stuff because I know that you spend a lot of time making this image intentional, and you look at all the vertical lines, the horizontal lines, where the window's cropped. I mean, we haven't even gotten to the inside of the image yet, and that stuff makes such a difference in presentation and viewing because it's pleasing to the eye, but it also shows intent from the maker, and double kudos to you for doing that. That's really great.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Other than that, I love it.
His images, for the most part, seem very, like you said, very considered and thought out and put together. Right.
Yeah.
I see. I'm looking at the thumbnail of Troy while we view this. He's putting up his hand on the bottom of the image. I know what he's going to say next. The only thing I would say is you could lose a little bit of that foreground.
But here's the thing: is I'm looking at that, I'm thinking, yeah, that would be great. You crop the foreground, and then it feels like you're standing at the fountain. But if you leave the foreground, it feels like I'm going to walk up to the fountain.
Yeah.
So it really depends on what intention you have for this image. I think that this would be great, long and horizontal, and crop off some of that foreground.
Yeah. I agree as well. I'm interested in his processing on this because it looks. When I first looked at it, when I looked at the thumbnail, I was thinking, that could use a little more contrast or clarity or something. It needs to pop a little more. But then when you look at the final image and you look at it at the proper size, it doesn't need any of that. His whites and those window frames up top are crisp and clear. The midtones are crisp, and the shadows still have some detail in them, but they're shadows. So very cool all the way through, and it makes me want to look at it. It's one of those images that makes me want to look at it. And it doesn't need a person in it, Troy. All right, moving on.
But this next one does.
All right, let me pull this next one up. Mighty Networks makes me scroll down every time to find the image.
I know.
Apartment for the this is another Craig image. Apartment for the photo critic. Yeah, I know what you're gonna say. So this one needs a person like sort of peeking over the banister there, or walking up the steps.
Yeah, or just leaning against the wall underneath, in between those two lights on the wall.
Yeah,
on the right. But I'm guessing this was probably one of his commercial shots or something that he did. So maybe people weren't there.
Yeah, but check out his lines again, right?
Yes.
All meticulous. I think that if I had to pick one word to describe Craig Stanfley's work, I'd say meticulous.
I would say intentional.
How about intentionally meticulous?
Okay. See? What a team.
Boom. Wonder Twin powers. Form of a nitpicker.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. See, my nerd's showing again. I can't help it.
But talking about the image,
and not the Super Friends.
I think that it's one of these kind of images that it's dry in that it's not exciting in its own context, right? Like there's, if there was a puppy or there was a person or there was something else or, a couple glasses of wine on the table down at the bottom with a plate of food or whatever, it would tell more story and that would be more emotional.
Yeah.
As it is, though, it's a fantastically handled commercial shot.
Commercial, yeah.
Right? Or architectural.
Yeah, commercial, architectural, all those alls, right? Commercial, architectural, clinical is that kind of feel to it. And it looks like it's purposely sterile, right? Because crisp lines, converging lines, no sort of organic matter in this shot for the most part. Maybe the banisters would, but aside from that, not a whole lot of organic matter in this shot. So, who needs organic matter anyway? It's a hassle. Thanks a lot, Craig Stanfley. Moving on. All right, next shot is. This is from Thomas Aaron. Dark Distant Dreams. I took this picture especially for the monochromatic critique. See, you were right, Troy Miller. Let me bring this up larger. It's my old man, a Marine Corps infantryman who was awarded the Purple Heart after part of his leg was taken off by a mortar round in Vietnam. He still doesn't talk about the war, but the PTSD I witnessed growing up said plenty. Wow. A powerful shot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really nice. I mean, I love how the hat plays. It tells a whole story without us even knowing that. You know, and I like the quiet look. You know, I mean, there's a lot of shots like this, you know, where they're looking at the camera and it's edgy and all that kind of stuff, and this doesn't really do that.
I see you. I know what you're looking at. I know.
Go ahead.
The ear and the collar, right?
Yeah, a little too much manipulation going on in there.
Yeah, it looks like he's trying to tone down the background and didn't zoom in a whole lot to do the detail work around the ear, and you know, I think it's around the hat too. You know, there's some I'm not sure what was going on. Maybe some masking or something in there.
Some burning. Yeah, it looks like very, very heavy burning. You know, above his ear on the hat. We lost part of the hat right behind the rim on camera left. You know, I don't think this is an image that needs a lot of that. I saw what you were trying to do. I think you're trying to bring the focus in on his right eye, the side of his face, and sort of manipulate that. But don't try to do that so hard. Like just pull the background down. And let wherever he's at, let that story be there, because that's his environment.
Yep. Now, what would you have done to this image if you were sort of looking at it in the context of a wedding/portrait photographer? And not considering, you know, taking his edits off of the image, and it was a distracting background. I'm presuming that's what he was trying to get rid of. There's a distracting background. How would you have made the background less distracting?
If I could think of it, but even before I took the shot, I might grab a different lens. I might shoot with an 85, 1.4, 51, 4, 1.8, something like that, to make the background go soft. You know, get down a little bit lower, or move to his right, your left, and then fill the frame with more of your subject. You know, dodging and bringing the background down and stuff is always good, but it's only going to get rid of a little bit. Yes. If it's too distracting, you just have to take it out with Photoshop. You just can't burn it down to black. Generally, it doesn't look natural. Yeah,
Thomas, I would love to see the original image before any manipulation on this, to see, so we could sort of critique it a little bit deeper in terms of what could have been done to minimize the background distractions. All right, moving right along. Dark Distant Dreams. Thank you for posting that shot of your dad too, by the way.
Yeah, that's great.
Very cool. River Fire 2018 by Craig Stampley.
This is cool.
You don't often see black and white fireworks, do you?
No, but isn't it cool? It's cool, ain't it?
It is cool. Troy, go ahead and do it again, Troy. I'll bring on camera. Look at that. See? That's what I see.
Did you?
That's the cropping hand that I can see that you guys can't see.
Yeah, I'm not deciding. I mean, I'm looking to think like, the little triangle on the right, top right corner, I wish wasn't there, but I kind of like the guy watching. You know, I'm kind of struggling with that. I like the guy there looking, but I don't like the black triangle on the top.
I mean, would you content aware fill that in?
Yeah, I probably would. I think it'd be super easy to do, and I think it would help the image a lot. Not to say that it isn't really nice the way it is. I love the treatment and the black and white fireworks, and you know, it tells a great story.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the black and white fireworks. It looks like it's a little bit tilted. If looking at the crowd, which could be a factor of that super wide lens, but it looks like it's a little bit lower on the right hand side than it is on the left. And we're getting a convergence of lines. You can look at the buildings in the background and the light pole and everything's sort of pointing up, so you can kind of tell based on that what the axis of the camera was, and it looks like it's a little bit tilted to the right.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. Yeah,
just a little bit, not horribly, but you know, there's more crowd on the left side of the bottom frame than there is on the right. But that's the nitpick, right?
The nitpick. Bam, there it is, just like that.
Yeah, I know. We should give ourselves like 2 nitpick cards that we can play during each critique, and we only get 2, right? So, all right. That's unnecessary restriction. We're not going to do that. I call unnecessary restriction. All right, here we go. Iraxo Pichel. All right, he said this one's for the monochrome critique. It was taken while photo walking for my Sicilista. Ciclista in Madrid project, or Cyclista.
Oh, the cycles, just bicycles.
Yeah, that was stupid me. Cyclistas in Madrid project. It was quite hot and dry in Madrid. El Retiro Park. I wonder if this, El Retiro. He's retired for sure, isn't he, on this board?
Yeah.
He saw this man sleeping on the bench. This is with his EOS 650D 50mm f1.8. f3.2 at 1/200th of a second, ISO 100. Let's bring that up big.
Yeah, it's well balanced, center, left and right. I like that. I mean, I always look for those things. I don't know why my brain just goes, "Oh, is it centered? Is it balanced?"
Yeah. Well, I think when you see things that want to be symmetrical, that are that have mostly symmetrical elements like this, right? So if you remove this young man from the bench and his case, it's pretty much a symmetrical image.
Right. And I'm thinking that would be a cool shot of that bench, even with nobody on it. But how cool that there's this guy on there, and there's something written like right below his right knee on the bench, and it's upside down. So somebody wrote it when they sat there. You know, there's a little heart. So you got some nice little graffiti going there. The only thing that I could add to this is maybe crop down from the top a little bit and try to fix those highlights at the top. Because they're very distracting. And in this image, our eyes enter the image in the top right-hand corner. Basically, it's like how we read a book. So we see that bright spot right away. And if you just sort of subconsciously try to pay attention consciously to your eyes looking around the image, you're hitting that hot spot a lot. You're looking back up there and you're looking back up there because your brain's like, what is that? What is that?
Yeah, you want to trap your image on your subject, and that the highlights up there are a escape route for your eyes.
Yeah, I mean, you could crop it off right at the top of that hedge, and this is put this one in your portfolio. This one's fantastic.
Yeah, I'd want to. You know what? I want to see like a triptych of this one, where you have a wide shot like this, maybe a wider shot showing the context of this bench in the park. This could be the medium shot, and the close up of his face. You know, I mean, you're photo walking, so I wouldn't recommend that. But all things being equal, if you could have got like a really detailed close-up shot of the character of his face and the hairs and all that stuff, you know, and then this pull out and then a wide shot, that'd be really killer. But don't go approaching people sleeping on benches without permission, ladies and gentlemen. That could end badly. That could end badly and has ended badly for lots of people. All right, next one for Michael Kautz. He says his Wastelanders have been some of the coolest people he shot. This is Phelan, and the guy in the skull mask is Kit. All right, let's pull this up.
Yeah, these are neat.
Wastelanders. I love that.
Yeah.
This is your genre. For the folks who haven't been listening along for the last 34 episodes, Troy Miller is a big fan of apocalyptic, dystopian type science fiction films. So if we're doing some sort of contest and you want to pander, submit something black and white that's dystopian and apocalyptic science fiction, you win.
You know what? That's pretty true. That's not too far off, and I do dig it. Mike, though, he handled this image really well, and the thing that I really like about this is not just the subject matter, but that the fact that it's you go to her face, to Phelan's face, over and over and over, and you look at her eyes over and over, because that's the sharp spot. That's the spot with the most brightness that's really drawing us in, and I think that's really amazing, and it's such a fun image to look at all the time. Very well done.
Yeah,
definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah, I would put this up there. Are you keeping track of which one's your favorite so far?
Yes.
For the prize? I would agree. I think the guy in the foreground is a little bit distracting, being out of focus like that, because my brain wants to know what that headgear he has rocking is. It looks like some sort of bug helmet or something, but I kind of want to know what it is, and because it's so much out of focus, I don't know what it is, so it's causing me frustration when I look at the image. I think I like the image, but I would have preferred they were closer to the same plane. And I think because his eyes aren't showing in the image, you still would have had that effect of being drawn into her eyes because she would be making eye contact with you while he's not.
Right.
But if he was sharper, then I think it would have been a stronger image.
Yeah, well, you could be wrong. That's okay.
Yeah, it's happened before. It'll happen again. Of one thing, if there's one thing in life I can be sure of, is I will be wrong again.
Again, yeah, okay. Yeah, you and me both, so it's all good.
Yeah, exactly. The key is to balance them.
Right.
All right, here's another image from Michael. He says, this one's called Listen. This was the first shot of many. Do you ever get lucky and just stand there for hours trying to get a better shot? Yep. All the time. That's called therapy for a lot of us photographers.
Yeah.
But look at that. That is crazy. That looks like one of those what's the Japanese technique when they show those sort of highly detailed cresting waves? There's a specific name to the art.
Oh, when they do like the wood art or the painting that shows
the painting, yeah, and you just see it looks like this shot, but it's a painting. And it's beautiful. You know, of course, it's a painting, so it has more repeating patterns in it. But it looks like this. This is awesome, showing the power of this cresting surf there.
Yeah. I have an obsession with waves. So I'm not an ocean guy. I don't like to go in the water, and I don't care to surf, and I don't want to be in a boat, and I don't want to touch it. But
I'm getting the feeling that you're kind of landlocked here, you know?
Yeah, I like the land. I like the land a lot. But the ocean is amazing to me, and it's beautiful, and because it changes all the time, and it's abstract, and I love to photograph it. So I love these kind of shots. I love these. My only thing is I really wish that there was some more vibrancy in the splashing wave. I mean, that foam is white, and maybe there's not light on it. Yeah. That's okay. You can still do a little, creative dodging and burning and just bring a little bit more specularity into that bad boy.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, that's a good point because you can. It is white, and you can, especially on a shot like this with unnatural patterns in it, you can hide your work really well when you're doing dodging and burning versus on something with repeating patterns. But yeah, I agree.
Yeah, Mike has shot more of these. I would like to see them.
Yeah.
Share them. Yeah, because those are cool. I got to know what my competition is.
Look at that. All right, moving on up. Next one is from Mark Harris. He says, although this is a color photograph, I feel the similarity of tone in Dakota's skin and the wood and the contrasting dress make this eligible for the monotone duotone critique. This is his Nikon D850 with a Zeiss 50mm at 1.4, or the lens is 1.4, and he shot it at f5, ISO 8000 at 1/100th of a second.
Well, that means it was dark. That was a dark space.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
ISO 8000. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that camera loves that. I'm just looking at it again. I love the mood that's in here. I like the edge lighting in her face. It's like pseudo hatchet lighting. Basically it's edge lighting. It's short lighting. The short side of her face is lit, and I really like that. It adds a lot of drama to this, and the way it comes across her shirt or dress, if you will, showing off all that detail. I think is very cool. In images like this, the thing that I really struggle with are body part placements. Her left hand, the knee sticking up, very subtle changes. I think would have really helped that. But maybe that's the mood of this image. I'm okay with that. I'm just depending on where you're going with this, as far as like a portrait or a documentation of somebody.
Yeah. I don't know. I like this image, and I think. But one of the things that sort of draws me into the image is, we talk about storytelling on the show a lot, right? And when I look at this image, much like that rock that we looked at earlier, this kind of it makes my brain kind of want to think of what's going on here. Like, is that like a nightgown that she's wearing? And, the story is her husband was out drinking and he said he'd be back by 10. It's now 1 o'clock. It's now 1, and she was worried, but now she's mad, So.
Yeah.
But the point is, it makes you think, right? It makes you want to build a story around it. And I think those are the best photos. To me, those are the best photos, the one that even pull out even a semblance of a story versus just, hey, look at this, Look at this.
Yeah, and
Unless
you know,
it's abstract. You know,
well, it's true. I mean, if it makes somebody uncomfortable versus somebody comfortable, you've achieved your goal. If that's your goal, right? If you want her to have this sense of loneliness and she's uncomfortable or whatever, then you've totally succeeded there. And for me, my brain is I constantly fix those things. So maybe it's unfair for me to apply that here, but that's how my brain works. I'm like, oh, you know, turn the shoulders, fix the hair, get the hair from behind the ears, you know, but that's okay. Right.
Yeah.
That's the direction that I go naturally.
Yeah. And that's the point. I mean, these critiques aren't meant to be, you know,
absolutely
from on high, the tablets of what would make your image look the best. Right? These are subjective criticisms, you know. So they're right, which yours are normally wrong, but sometimes you get it. You know, even a broken clock is right twice a day, right? So
unless it's got a hand missing, and then it's never right.
Exactly. I love that. I love that. That is awesome. I'm going to use that, by the way.
Okay.
Let's got a hand missing. All right. Let's move.
Good job, Mark. Yep. I love his stuff, so it's good.
Yeah, Mark rocks. Mark rocks. I love people pushing stuff. Speaking of pushing, here's another shot from Thomas Aaron. I uploaded this 2 days ago. I guess I should share the screen. There we go. Genesee, Colorado. Sleepy mother bison standing watch over her resting calf.
That's really great.
Yeah, I almost hear like Western music when I look at this.
Or you can hear them. You can hear like the whole herd making noise and stomping around, and yeah. You know, this is really great. I love the nearly square crop. I think we could make it more square. I think you could take some of that left space off. I think it would be okay to bring that edge in a little closer to their face. I don't think it would hurt too much. I like the toning. It's great. It looks like we have some highlights that have been blown out in there.
Right off the nose of the mommy, right?
Yeah. The mama
bison there too. Yeah.
Yeah,
but just I saw that too, and I know it's. I don't even want to say it's bad, but it for me it sort of adds to the fact that there was a blaring sun that day, right? And we've all seen it, right? Especially if you're in a field like this of hay or whatever that vegetation is, and it's hitting it and making it bright. So sometimes in real life, you know, based on what our eyes can see, the world does that. You know, it produces these specular highlights without detail in them, and sometimes that's okay. But
yeah, but not this one.
But
you know, if there was, I mean, there may have been a sunspot tirade there.
I go on this whole tirade of, you know, sometimes specular highlights are okay because in nature, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, yeah, not so much. No. All right. I'm going to give you that.
Amazing image, though. Fantastic image, Thomas. I like it. I like it a lot.
Thank you, Thomas Aaron. Very cool, man. Thanks for submitting. Keep it up. Here's Michael Kautz. Michael Kautz says, let's read this. It's always fun. Let's bring this up. He says, it's always fun getting down to the Vin Escape part and shooting some of the talent. This set was edited in color, but going back and changing some to monochrome changed the photos completely, right? Which is what your goal was when picking.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. You know the shot, looking at him, he kind of looks like a statue almost. Can you see a statue like that? Like some kind of Vegas statue of the new skate hotel. And this is out front. You know?
Yeah, no, the timing on this is spectacular. I like how his foot is off the board. You know, his right hand is into the camera. That means that he had to be really close, you know, to take this shot, which is really nice. So I like that. I like the tight crop. I think that the framing is nice. It has a lot of tension, you know, and that's cropping can really change how you feel about that image. I think that's really great.
We're seeing a lot of square here too, right? These days.
Yeah.
Squares in. Would you have taken out the lady next to his heel at the bottom, in the bottom left?
You know, yes. Now, if I was going to enter this in competition, I would definitely take her out unless she was looking at the camera. So, you know, he may have that one, or he may have images of her looking this way, or maybe taking a picture of this guy or whatever. She's not adding to this. She seems to be distracting to me. So I would love to see her go away. Sure, she's a nice lady, but we don't need her in the photo.
Yeah, I agree. again, like you say, or we say, whatever, removing the pixels that don't immediately add to the story or distract away from the weight of the main subject.
Right. Oh. Yep. It has been said.
It has been said, so it shall be.
It has been said.
All right. Stephen Scharf, entry for the monochrome duotone. Marlowe headed up Route 1 under a full moon towards the city. The ocean pounding on the shore had an inky blackness. He had to find Carmen Sternwood before Eddie Mars did. If only he knew where Sean Reagan was. I don't know what he's talking about. These are all people and names that I have no idea. I feel bad that I don't know who they are, but I don't know who they are. I like this shot, though. I love the black landmass, which is Northern California, or headed towards North Bay, right? And then the water and the shimmer of the only thing lighting up the water is the moon there. So that is fantastic right there.
Yep. This is really, really, really nice. And this is I think we saw this one before, and there is definitely some Photoshop work going on above the skyline. Yeah. And I think there's some Photoshop work going on if you look just immediately to the left of the tower. Something's weird there.
Just immediately to the left of the tower?
Yeah, in the middle. It looks like there's like a little blob right there or something, but I don't know what that is.
Wait, just immediately to the left of the tower. I don't see it. Where? On the immediately to the left of the mid-span tower on the Golden Gate Bridge?
Yeah, there's like a blob there, and it looks like something like, because I don't see the cables. So the cables are probably doing something. Yeah. So
Right.
Yeah, and I'm getting really picky because I really do like this image. It's definitely one of my top faves, but I can see some of those little retouching marks. And then if you ever retouch an image, there's a lot of grain or a lot of texture in, a lot of noise. It's really hard when you clone something because it has to blend. The grain has to blend and has a pattern, and it can really give away that you've touched it.
Yeah. Yep. For sure.
So yeah, this is definitely one of my favorites. I got two favorites in here. So
you can't be giving it away, man. You got to hold it to.
No, I've got two. One of them you're going to agree with me, and then we'll be done.
I will agree with you as long as one of yours is one of mine.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah. All right, moving on up here. Next one, we're getting in there. Look at that. Mike Brookbank. Mike is a new member, I believe. Welcome, Mike Brookbank.
Yeah, fairly new. Yeah,
it's a new name I haven't seen. I know all of my family in here, right?
Yeah. Well, we're gonna see more Mike.
He says these two Tundra Swan were nice enough to post for me today on Mod Link. Fuji X-T3 with 35mm f2 ISO 160 at 1/320th of a second f8. Look at that. Yeah, I didn't even notice those guys until I brought it up full screen.
Yeah.
Very little.
This is one of those kind of images that I think it needs to be symmetrical. I think it needs to be cropped right. I think that horizon line needs to be dead center, balance the mountain and the reflection. I think that would help a lot. Yeah. I don't think we need to bring in the sides too much, but maybe a little bit. But the swans are off center to the right a tad. So, and they're like a secondary hook in this image. The symmetry, the reflection, the trees on the right, those are all great. The sunlight on the left, the shadows, it's light, shadow, light. I think that's really cool. Yeah, I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, I like it too. All right, so what I would say about this particular image, let me move my mouse off of his awesome image, is we were a lot of the images that we've seen have been cropped square. I like to see this one cropped square, right to the edges of the mountain with the two swans right dead center with the symmetry of the reflection of the mountain, at the bottom.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you could do that. Yeah, you sure could.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, I hate it when you're right.
I told you. It happens occasionally. like the person's meteor shower every now and then.
Yeah, this is one of those images that I would just play with and crop a bunch and figure out, and I might even do multiple crops and leave them in my library that way, and just until I find one that suits me.
Yeah.
There's a lot of information in there. It's really nice.
Yep. Very cool. And thanks for playing along with our monochrome game too, right?
Yeah, he's got another one in here. It's really nice.
All right, here's the other one. He said, sorry to add to your workload, just couldn't choose between the two. This photo was taken in Hatcher Pass. That creepy little shack is tucked away behind some foliage just off the main road, hidden from view, unless you do some exploring. Fuji X-T3 with 35mm f2 ISO 100, 1/50th of a second at f11. Let's bring that up. Ooh, that's creepy. Yeah.
Yeah, and at first, my first inclination was like, oh man, I wish it wasn't in shadow. And then I thought, no, that's what's cool about it, right? Like that's a secondary element in our image, and the mountain and the landscape is our primary element. And then you look down and you're like,
you get a surprise down there. Yeah, this is a Hills Have Eyes shot, right? Remember that?
Man, you go deep and fast. We're going down.
I can't help it. I mean, this is what I saw. I saw the Hills Have Eyes with mutants living in that cabin right there, ready to come hijack you after they blow out your front left tire.
You know what would be really cool is to go back, if you can, if it's safe, is to go inside that cabin, put somebody in there, and then light them from inside.
Ooh.
Put a light in the cabin.
Yeah.
And inside light them. One of the Wastelanders. You got to put one of the Wastelanders in there.
Oh, yeah. And just sort of like in that window, too. Just like, that would be killer. Just like a little Easter egg down there. Or in that doorway, just sort of peeking out through the door. Yeah. See? We have similar twisted imaginations.
Yeah. There's no doubt.
All right, here we go. Let's move on to the next one. Jim Peters. Jim is new as well. Jim Peters. Lots of new people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Welcome, Jim. It says, mornings on the Ventura Promenade are a great place to start the day. See, now you're just bragging. The haze is starting to burn off. Good morning, Ventura. Let's bring that up. There we go. All right.
Yeah.
Is it Ventura or Ventura?
Both.
Either or. Potato.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. I saw you holding up the card, the crop.
I did.
Lose some of the bottom. Lose some of the bottom so that your eye goes more to the surfer holding the board. Right.
Yep. And you could almost lose the sky. I mean, you could almost crop down just to lose the sky, where you have just the pier and the couple walking and the leading line of the coast, and then this guy carrying a surfboard out. I mean, that's really where all the story is, right? Like, yeah, we really don't need all those other elements.
But you're going to lose if you crop down from the sky. You're going to lose our California trademark palm trees.
That's okay. I see them every day.
That's awesome. I got 3 in my yard. I don't need any.
For me, this image is of the surfer. It's not the pier. It's not even the couple. It's the surfer. I see the surfer first. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, I don't know what Jim's intention was, but the way I see it is I see the surfer. And so I really want to make it even stronger about the surfer. Mm-hmm. So I like that. I mean, you can leave the pier in at the top and stuff, but it definitely crop that bottom.
Yeah, I think what I would have done, I agree with you. What I would have done when I look at this image is, crop the bottom out, because that sort of beach stuff is not really adding to the image. And yes, the surfer, I believe, I agree with you, is the topic of the image. But the overall image seems a little bit low contrast to me. I'm not sure. It feels like there's a haze over it. And when I look at the surfer, I know there's a little bit of detail in the surfer's swimsuit or whatever he or she has on, but there's not enough. So when I look at that, I'm thinking, why not just even push it a little bit further and make it even more contrasty so that there's no detail and the people are complete silhouettes in there. And then you could still do a gradient and do that and leave some detail in the top there. But even that, when I look at the top, I'm thinking, I want to say that's California, but it looks more like, a Shanghai kind of atmosphere going on here.
It's all dusty and hazy. It is L.A.
Yeah, it is L.A. Yeah, but Ventura kind of. Yeah. Or Ventura, whatever. But I like it. Yeah, I like it overall. But yeah, I agree with you. The topic of this image, or the subject, is the surfer. Then, there's three main elements that scream California in this, right? Beach, palm trees, surfer. Done. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, that could be Florida, but your brain goes to California first. But I may be biased because I live here. Let's move on to the next one. Are you a surfer, Troy?
No, I don't like to go in the water.
Oh, that's right. You don't like, what? You don't like sea life? What's the matter with you?
I don't like to be wet.
I thought you were going to say I don't like to be eaten by sea life. All right. Kyle Nishioka. All right. Let's bring this one up. Look at that. Triangle. Talk about the trifecta.
Yeah, this is one of his cooler shots. I dig this. I really do. This is, not just because there's pretty girls in it, but I think that it's such an interesting thing where you have these three women, all three in different outfits. All three have different expressions, yet they're posed in a very symmetrical manner, which I think is really great. I would love to have seen this, from a much higher angle where they were in like a wash of white, so you could see all their feet and everything, see the whole completeness. Mm-hmm. But maybe that wasn't possible. So the only thing that I would add to this one is maybe a little cleanup. Top left corner, get rid of some of those wrinkles in the fabric.
You'd want it to go full white?
I think so. Yeah, I think that'd be better. The shoelace in the bottom left corner.
Oh, right. And,
yeah. A little strand of
picking. Nice.
A little strand of hair on the right under the right girl's arm, just above the other girl's knee.
Yeah. I see that right there.
Just little things. I mean, but man, Kyle, you outdid yourself. This is cool.
Yeah, I'm a fan. Yeah, I see those now that you mentioned them, but I didn't see them initially, which is a little scary. But I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. But I like the image. I mean, I like the image. I like the symmetry of it. I like the triangle, which is obvious. I've never, ever, ever, ever seen this pose, before.
Nope.
So this is something new, which is hard to do, right? And Kyle's pushing it. It's easy to do traditional or things that you've seen in magazines and you try to recreate them or, whatever sort of trope is taking over photography for that particular quarter, but this is new and I like it.
Yeah, and it's you look around and you can see each hand is a little bit different. One girl's got her hand in her hair, the other girl's leaning on her hand on her cheek. The hand that's on the other girl's leg is the fingers are open and kind of relaxed. The other one's kind of curved, and those are important intentional type moves that make the image even better because as you move around, your eye has a lot to just enjoy.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Definitely. Yeah, like I say all the time, I mean, I like looking at pretty girls as much as the next person, but at the same time, you get sick of the same old images over and over again of, lady on beach or lady on pier or lady doing this or whatever, and it really takes some skill, I think, both in posing and creativity to come think out of the box and do something cool like this. So I like it. All right. Thank you, Kyle Nishioka. Steve Van Sickle's next. And Steve says, I don't have a ton to say on this shot other than the story behind it. I love that. If I had more time, I would have written less. I was shooting a super lively concert in the upstairs venue when I came down to get some air between bands. I see this scene as I walk down the stairs. It struck me as odd how quiet this was compared to the noise I was taking a break from just one floor up. Let's bring that up. Look at that. You could call this oasis or respite, right?
A respite. Yeah. I just love these kind of images. I mean, these are definitely, yeah. And it's so well handled. There's
my kind of bar. I see all those microphones hanging from the ceiling. You see those?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't even see that.
That's a podcaster bar right there.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. There's a couple old, looks like CB radios, microphones. Yep. Those are really cool. No, I mean, my first thought was like, oh, look, there's these two glasses on the right that somebody left those there. She's there, talking to these people. I like how her head isn't totally split by some goofy thing in the background. Like it's well placed in some negative space. That's nice. These two guys are, this guy and this gal behind the bar, working. I mean, it tells a wonderful story. I might crop a little bit off on the left so that she's not dead center. Mm-hmm. Keep the jukebox, keep the exit sign, maybe crop off to where you get the reflection in the mirror, whatever that is on the far left. Mm-hmm. Just crop off that reflection just enough to keep you in the bar area.
Yeah. Yeah, because you don't really need those chairs that are like right outside the restroom right there, I would guess. Right?
Yeah. But this is also a really good lesson for all of us is that, there could be a good shot anywhere. anywhere at any time. You just gotta be aware of it. So
yeah. Now, do you carry a camera with you all the time, like for these kinds of shots, like for that anywhere, anytime serendipity?
Yeah, don't we all? I mean, mine's an iPhone
your phone,
10.
right? Yeah, but what about a smaller, like, something bigger than your phone, smaller than your Nikon wedding smasher?
I do not, and I should more often because I get so busy and I just forget to grab a camera or whatever. So now that I have the new Z7, I'll be carrying it more.
Had to get that in there, didn't you?
I did. I'm just promoting the video you're going to put out. So.
I know. We recorded a video earlier today, as you'll tell because Troy's dressed exactly the same as am I in that video. It was
right. We are.
It was recorded earlier today.
You're gonna be like, yeah, those guys never change their clothes.
No. This next one is from Andy S. I posted my image for this week's critique, but don't see them. Oh, I am reposting. If they're duplicate, delete. Okay. This is another image I shot of one of the local canyons. They're a Canon T6i, 1/90th of a second, f4.5, ISO 320. Let's bring that up here. All right. There you go. What do you think about that?
You know what? That's my kind of truck right there. I like Dodges. So
old Dodge. That's Christine. Christine needs human sacrifice, it looks like. This is my movie reference episode.
This is, yeah.
That could be. Was Christine? No, Christine was a '57 Chevy or something, wasn't she?
I don't know. I think it was a Chrysler.
Was it?
We'll have to look it up and see. I don't remember.
No, I'm sure somebody. TWiP Pro will tell us.
Yeah, they will. Yeah, they're very astute.
Yes.
You know what? I don't really have a lot to add to this. I mean, it's an amazing image. I would just like to see the highlights in the grill brought up a little bit more and a little bit less on the heavy vignette. I think it's a little too heavy.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think it's a little too heavy not to have a more definitive subject in the middle of that vignette. Yeah, I know the Dodge is the subject of the image, but we're fading in and obscuring part of the Dodge. So,
right.
Yeah, so less on the side of the and the other thing is that, yeah, like you were saying, the vignette is very heavy on this image, which is, it makes me think things that are obscured by the vignette aren't important, which clearly it is. The Dodge is the most important. That's the subject. So yeah, I'd like to see a little bit, I'd like to see it pop a little bit more. I don't know, a little more contrast in there or something.
I agree. Yeah, it's a little soft. But great subject.
Yeah, very cool. Job, Andy S. All right, moving right along. Another one from Andy S. She says, I posted my image for this week. Oh, this is the same thing. So I guess she tried to post them and something happened. Yeah, Mighty Networks does fluctuate, not a lot, in terms of going down from time to time. I haven't seen a lot of downtime over the weeks we've been using them, but there is a little. So there's a chance that you were trying to post during a time when they were trying to update or something. She said this is another image she shot out in one of the local lakes. This is her Canon T6i, 1/125th of a second, f22 ISO 1600. All right. So I would go the same route as on this one. I don't mind the vignette as much on this one, but it is still a little bit too heavy. And I think the same rules apply as to with the previous, the Dodge, is that pier bridge floating water thingy-majigger there is clearly part of the main subject. Your eye is going to go to that first, it and the reflection underneath it. So I want to see more of that. I don't want to see that obscured. And if you're using Lightroom, you could still do a vignette, maybe not this heavy, but you could still do a vignette and then bring that back, right? You could still bring the bridge back underneath. What would you do with this, Troy? Would you? And you probably do it in Capture One anyway, right?
I would do it in Capture One, yeah, for sure. I think that the idea of a heavy vignette, is to get the viewer's attention on that one spot. And that one spot isn't that interesting. It's just a part on that pier. So it's not working so much for this image. I think open up the exposure a little bit, not such a heavy vignette. Let us see more of this pier. I like the grass in the front. So, let us see the scene a little bit more than try to bring that vignette down so tight on a key subject.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. Because when I don't know. I mean, I remember when I first started even in the darkroom, right? Things seem to look better with vignettes. I mean, and then, you start heavy-handed with them, and then you sort of ease off on them because the whole idea behind a vignette, unless it's part of the message that you're trying to convey, i.e., a portrait that you want to, kind of either do a dark vignette or a light vignette on. Unless that's part of it, the vignettes are intended to be subtle, so that they just sort of gradually hint and nudge your eye towards the middle, not shove it, from the back by the shoulders.
Yep. No, I totally agree. Yeah. No, it looks like it'd be a great subject. I just think that it's been heavy-handed on some of the Photoshop work.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Moving right along. Thank you, Andy S., for your submissions this week. You rock. Mark Fink, another newbie. Look at that. Okay, so Mark says he's been doing 360 VR photography since the late 90s. Nice. A veteran. So I've had a couple of decades experience now with stitching images. At this point, it's mildly pathological. I can't just take one photo. I do this for two reasons: higher resolution and more flexible fields of view. This mosaic from Corsica, France, is made up of 4 sets of 3 bracketed images. He stitches using PT GUI, and then he uses SNS HDR to combine the exposures. And finally, I use Lightroom to convert to black and white and tweak the temperature and tint to get this look. He shot this with his Samsung NX500 with a Bauer 24mm f1.4 lens on there. Look at that. I think he might be one of our first Samsung shooters, NX500.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Didn't even know that was a camera.
It is a camera. Yep.
I know there's a lot out there.
Yeah, it's a camera. I mean,
wow.
I'm not sure what. I'm not familiar with Samsung cameras. So that's either a camera or a phone with a camera. Isn't it funny though that we have to make that we can ask that question these days? It's like, yeah, the shot is awesome, but I don't know if it was taken with a handheld pocket device.
Right. And it doesn't matter because it's a fantastic image. And I love how the tonality and the sharpness and everything is right to the very, very, very edge. This could have, and it may have, a very subtle vignette, but if it does, we don't really see it, which is perfect because we really shouldn't see it anyway. Mm-hmm. And it's very easy to find the building that's in there, which is just, super wonderful. There are some highlights in some of the trees, like the very center tree that I would love to see that brought down a little bit because I think it's distracting. Not distracting isn't a fair word. I think it pulls attention a little bit. Mm-hmm. Other than that, I mean, very well handled. I think this is great. I think this is an image that if it was printed gigantic, we would walk up to it and we'd be like, oh, look, there's a squirrel in the tree.
Right.
Because there's that much detail.
Yep. Or look, way back on that trail, there's a little girl in a Red Riding Hood. I couldn't help it.
The brothers Grimm. This is where the brothers Grimm store all of their equipment.
Or the witch from Hansel and Gretel lives in that little brick house right there. See?
No, she had a candy house.
Oh yeah, it was candy. Right. Or maybe this is the last of the 3 pigs' houses. The other ones are gone. This one stood the test of wolf.
This is where Jean-Luc Picard lived before he, when he got caught in the wave.
Oh, that's right. Look at that. See? All right, you win. You had to play the Star Trek card. See? All right. We got one more image to go through. This one's from Mark Fink as well. He just posted this one as we record this.
We did. Yeah, you snuck this one in.
Snuck it in there. Which is good. These are great shots. He said, here's another mosaic from Meteora, Greece. If I ever do a photo book, the title would probably be something like, quick, pull the car over. We literally came around the bend of a road, and I slammed the brakes, jumped out, shot this handheld. Light was changing quickly since the sun was setting, so I had to work quickly. By the time I finished taking the images, the lights and the rocks to the left had diminished significantly. All right. Say in this case, he took 19 images, each with 3. This is not a quick shot, man. He's
been doing it for a long time, right? Yeah. So he can handhold it. He knows exactly where he needs to point that camera.
So just for context, he said, let's just take from the first paragraph. He pulled the car over. The light was changing. He jumped out of the car. He took 19 images, each with 3 exposures. He ended up only using 2 of the exposures, so it's 38 images for the final stitch. The stitch image is 10,000 by 5,000 pixels, and it prints really well on a piece of canvas. Wow.
I would imagine.
Did that 10 years ago. Wow, look at that. He shot with a Canon 10D. That's the one we gave away on TWiP PRO, right?
Yeah. Well, the only way to get resolution out of a 10D is to stack 19 images.
Yeah. Look at that. Look at that from the Nikon Z7 snob over here.
Hey, I did weddings with that 10D. My friends had them before Nikon came out with a camera, so I played with that thing. Yeah. It made me money.
Yeah, that was back in the day, though. Even the little postage stamp size sensor, or not sensor, but LCD on that
screen.
Thing? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. He shot this with a 28 to 135, and he switched to shooting most of all of mosaics with prime lenses, so you can better control depth of field via hyperfocal distance. PT GUI stitching, SNS HDR, merge exposures, Lightroom for final cropping and tweaking. Let's bring that up.
Yeah, this is great. This is. I mean, you can see. Yeah, there's some like outcrops to the left of the large spire. Looks like little signs or something there. Maybe that's a trail. Mm-hmm. I love the subtle lighting, in the haze that's in the distance and how it's easy to see that deep. So, I mean, super well handled. My only nitpick is there's halos. Mm-hmm. And it's just, it's over processing is what it is. So that middle spire, you can see that there's halos around. There's a processing halo around it.
Yep.
And those are easily fixed. And that to me would change this image a lot. But right where it's at, I mean, this image would score really, really well.
Yeah. 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 I don't have much to add to that. Yeah. I did spot that on the middle spire, and also both of the ones in the middle, one on the left and the one on the right, have a little bit of a halo, a more obvious halo around it. But other than that, yeah, this is fantastic. And I'd want to see this big, right? Because I want to see detail. You can stand there and look at this. You could probably see all kinds of little stories within this image. That's fantastic. It's one of those you got to just look at and absorb.
Yeah, over and over. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like even the depth when you look off into the distance with the different layers of hills and mountains back there. It just sort of goes on and on and on. Very cool.
Yeah. Super good. Super good.
All right. Thank you, Mark Fink. I think that's the last one.
That's the last one.
We did it, man. What do you think? So
what's our winner?
Oh, wait a minute. You know what? Did I do the right thing? Let me bring that up again. Make sure I was showing that, because I may have switched off. Let me just bring that up, and then I'll edit it over. All right, perfect. All right, here we go. Let me bring you back up on screen here. Okay, man. So what's your pick? Who's the winner?
It's one of the Stevens.
Let me scroll down here. Let me just bring the screen back up here. All right. I'm gonna say my first.
Well, what's your favorite?
My first one. I'm oscillating, but considering the theme, so I'm going with the theme of monochrome, black and white. James Glennie's shot of the rock. I'm gonna bring that up here, because this shot it goes to the theme, but it also shows what we've been talking about on TWiP PRO a lot, is that you don't have to necessarily buy a plane ticket to make good photography. There's
right
all around you, right? So we talk about that a lot on the show. Plus, this is monochrome. Plus, I like the execution of this and the simplicity of it. So that's one of my favorites. And then my other favorite, let's just go up here. Let me find it. My other favorite was this guy, Michael Kautz, right here. The waves crashing on the rocks.
Nice.
Do we have a consensus at any point?
Nope,
here?
we didn't match. No.
Oh no! What do we do? It's a tie.
Well, we'll get it. So my favorite was one of Steven Densickle's. I love that bar shot. And what I really love about that was the sort of serendipity that it took in order for him to capture that, and he grabbed it, and it's just a moment in time that no planning whatsoever, walked into it, saw it, shot it, made this amazing image out of it. I love that, the story behind that. Even if you don't know, I just like that story. I like that image. And then the other image that I really like is Stephen Sharp's the moonrise.
Oh yeah, I should have picked that one.
See?
Yeah, and again, is nice. This is really nice. The moonrise is really nice.
And it's super unique, and normally you see that bridge in color, and to see the moonrise and to see all that in black and white, I think that just sort of, it's just amazing. And the inky water and the dark shapes, and to me, this is everything that black and white is. It's an amazing image on top of that. They're all amazing images, but that one,
I agree with you. Yeah, this one, I'm gonna recast. I'm gonna say this is my third favorite too. And not even in any ranking order. I'm adding this to my deck of 3 cards. So now we have to pick one to win.
Well, I picked Stephen Sharp's. That's my.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick Stephen's too. I think I'm going to go ahead and pick this one. Yeah, I like it. And the reason I pick it, I wish we could pick all of them, but the reason I pick this one is that I'm looking at it and thinking, would I want this hanging on the wall in my home? Right. And we used to say that a lot on the show, right? And this one, I definitely could see hanging on the wall in my home, printed big, right? So
yep, and this one does fit a lot of the elements that I think make an amazing image. I mean, you have symmetry, you have composition, you have intentional depth of focus, you have leading lines, you have foreground, middle ground, background, you have primary, secondary elements within this image, you have subtleties going on. It's a very complex and rich image. So I'm very stoked with it. I think everybody's image is great, but that one is just one third of 1 point better.
It's exceptional. All right, very cool. All right, well that's it, man. I think we've gone through. It took us the better part of an hour to get through this one. So, lots of images. We had a lot to go through and lots to talk about. You and I were talking earlier about compressing it, and I think it's better just to take whatever time is necessary for each image to give it its credit versus trying to rush through and compress everything because there's so many images, which is why we want to reduce the number of images coming in so that we can have this time to give each image its adequate critique due.
Right.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and end this one. And any parting shots you want to leave for the audience?
Are we going to do our next month critique? Is that going to be pets? We're going to call it pets?
Yeah, I think I want to do pets. Yeah, I'm cool with pets.
I like pets. Pets will be interesting. That'll be fun stuff. So that'll be 30 days out. So you'll make an announcement of that in TWiP. So, okay, cool.
I will. Yeah, that'll be good. Beginning as we record this is October 1st. So we'll do that one November 1st.
Yeah, and kudos to everybody who went out and created new images or dug up some new images and rose to the challenge of this, which was fun. Way more images than I thought we'd get. Right? Like it was a lot. Yeah.
No, it was, but it's good. Yeah. Because last time we did this sort of thematic thing, we got sort of a trickle of images in, and now we're getting the right thing. So, which is cool. All right. I think the Skype gods are telling us to end this because your video is starting to break up a little bit.
Uh-oh. So, Stephen, DM me your address, your shipping address, and I will have Peter send that book to you.
All right. Very cool. All right, man. Well, that's it for this episode of the TWiP Pro Photo Critique. Troy Miller. We'll see you next time, man.
All right. Take care, my friend.
Peace. This is TWiP.